What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go ahead and check out the Chapter 18 Dead by Daylight trailer release. They went ahead and posted something on Twitter um, about 8 hours ago. I got to it a little late today, but I already took a look at it, and I've gone over what I think it could be, my prevailing theory, and I've got all that kind of pulled up and ready to discuss with you. So we're going to take a look at the trailer together, and then I'm going to take you into my theory on what we might be seeing for Chapter 18 in regards to the new killer and maybe even potentially the new pack in general. So, um, let's go ahead over here. This is the video. We're going to go ahead and full screen it and take a look. So, let's go ahead. Oh, that's really loud. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at that one more time. So, let's go ahead it because it's quite loud. Alright, so if you look here, we clearly have like a very humanoid hand, and arm, along with the woods in the background and the screech almost. My initial thought, and this isn't too much to go on, but um, based on the lore that I know and things that I've heard of, um, I think this could be a Wendigo. Now, um, with that being said, I have a bunch of tabs on Wendigo pulled up. For starters, so this is what a Wendigo is. There's very different iterations of what people think they look like, from this to this, which definitely fits more along the lines of what we could have seen in that video. Very human hands, using said hands as weapons. Um, the lore about Wendigos is extensive. Um, most lores suggest that they're creatures that used to be human and developed very supernatural abilities due to long-term cannibalism, after generation after generation after generation, um, turning them into vicious but very effective predators. Now, um, just a couple things. So if we take a look at this one first, um, I don't know how many of you ever watched Supernatural, but in the very second episode of the show, a Wendigo was something they fought its weakness being fire, as you can see in this picture. But again, fairly humanoid, fairly normal arms, fairly normal hands, slightly extended, but overall fairly normal. Um, this lore also followed that of, if you look right here, a Wendigo is a creature made famous in Native American legends. A Wendigo is a former human whose cannibalism has transformed them into a creature with superhuman strength and speed that feasts on human flesh. So that's something that we already know is potentially um, lore oriented. Um, that's all we really are going to get from this one. But let's go ahead and look at this one first. So, um, just a little bit of background information on what a Wendigo is. Wendigo also have been known as Wendigo, Wittigo, Wittico, and Witigo. It's a creature of, I can't pronounce that. Algol Algonquian. I'm horrible with that, but it's Native American mythology. The common translation of its name means the evil spirit that devours mankind. Though in 1860, the translation by a German explorer became cannibal. So, that lines up. Wendigo are known to live in Canada and the United States. and seem only to live in cold climates. That would explain, if you watch that video again, let's go back to it one more time. You know, looking in the woods, it's dark. It looks like it might even have, minor snow particles. And I don't have the sound on again because it's just loud. But it looks like it might slightly be snowing. And the woods are where they're famously known to be. So that all kind of lines up. Um, they've been sighted. They've said to have been sighted around the city of Kenora in Ontario, Canada. But throughout the late 1800s and early 1920s, there were sightings of Wendigo around the time of death. The time of a death in Roseo, Minnesota. Another Wendigo hotspot is supposedly the Cave of the Wendigo, which is near Lake Mamigwes. I'm horrible at these pronunciations, guys. My apologies. But Ontario, Canada again. Um, while the looks of the Wendigo um, vary vary between the different tribes, most versions of the Wendigo share these traits: glowing eyes, long yellow fangs, long tongues. Legends describe them at about 15 feet tall, and they are commonly described as being thin, and their skin stretched so tight over their body that you could see their bones clearly. In some cases, they're said to have a stag skull head, while in others they have sunken eyes, look skeletal with ashen skin, and have decaying skin. The most common interpretation of the Wendigo is that it's a spirit that possesses a person after they resort to cannibalism, whether that be under circumstances or not, and turns them into a Wendigo. Um, though it's also said that Wendigo wander the forest, possessing people and turning them into Wendigo, or just giving them cannibalistic tendencies. They have an endless craving for human flesh and are sometimes said to grow in proportion to meals that they eat, so that they never get full. Wendigo are said to have superior speed and stealth, and ability to mimic human voices, near perfect hunting skills, and in some cases the ability to control the weather. It's also said that they can bring darkness before dusk. So basically, first off, we'll come back to this, but this could definitely be some of the things that we use in the event of it being a Dead by Daylight killer, certain powers. Um, Now, the last thing I want to say, if you take a look at this video again, at the end of it, now we see what we see here, but that's not what I'm worried about. If we take a look here, um, there's there's no um, there's no other trademarks other than just Dead by Daylight, which would lead me to think that it's not a licensed killer, which is fine. Wendigo are not considered to be licensed. Wendigo are um, public, domain and everything along those lines. However, they could be throwing us a curveball just to announce later that it is um, licensed, but it could still be Wendigos. Um, Until Dawn was um, from what I remember, critical success of a game. Um, and the main thing that you were up against were Wendigo. Um, let's see. According to this, Wendigo legends were from First Tribe Nations. Wendigo exhibit a deterioration from previous anatomy, yet become stronger and hardier. They exhibit spinal disfiguration, giving them a hunchback-like appearance. Their teeth are more canine and disfigured. Their vision is less keen and more influenced by movement. Their muscle mass is almost entirely deteriorated, and the limbs are slender and long, yet they can easily tear limbs, climb walls, and leap to different spots in the blink of an eye. Their skin is taut against their bodies, much like a glossy, stretched armor. During the Wendigo's metamorphosis, while their skin is being stretched, their bodies are also perform different forms of skin torture, such as sweating acids, in order to strengthen their outer coating. It renders the Wendigo practically impervious against ballistics and sharp weapons. The extreme heat from fire and explosives can burn away the thick skin, inflicting great pain while also rendering them vulnerable to other weapons. They lose their hair, eventually lose their male and female characteristics, becoming skeletal in appearance. They'll retain any tattoos or skin alterations, blah, 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 blah. So basically what I'm getting at here is, um, with Wendigo, it's a human. Or at least it was. And over time, they became this creature. It fits what you could want from Dead by Daylight. In a killer, it's humanoid. Almost very Demogorgon-esque with, lanky limbs, skinny, but humanoid. And at least this one would have a damn face, so if you tried to flashlight blind it, at least it would make sense. They're superb hunters, which would be great for the entity to want to, take one. Um, yeah, there's a lot you could do with it. Now, if we go ahead back to here, so mainly reading this section right here. And I'll go ahead and actually zoom in on this for you. So this is the section we want to talk about here. Wendigo are said to have superior speed and stealth, the ability to mimic human voices, near perfect hunting skills, and in some cases the ability to control the weather. I mean, this could literally be their powers and perks. I don't know how you could finagle them. Speed, you just make it a fast killer. Ta-da! Stealth, you can make it. You could even make it so that it's very fast with a massive terror radius, or it can go into stealth mode and be fairly slow, kind of like the pig, um, along those lines. I like the idea of giving it the ability to literally hide. Um, with the ability to mimic human voices, it could use one of its perks could be that I don't know. You could do something where its terror radius is actually substituted by the sounds of a whimpering teammate that's hurt, or that could be its power. It could mimic the sounds of a hurt survivor, so that the other players could hear that moaning and crying for pain, and come to try and heal as a luring technique. There's a lot you can do with it, but basically, guys, what I'm getting at here is I think that the new killer for Dead by Daylight is a Wendigo. I think that it makes perfect sense. It fits the Dead by Daylight criteria. There's plenty that you can do with it. I don't know exactly how you would finagle their perks or their abilities, and I think, depending on what you do, it could all but replace the Demogorgon. Um, but it's not like they haven't done that before. We already have the hillbilly and the Leatherface, or the cannibal, which is also why you could call this. You wouldn't call this the cannibal. You would definitely call this the Wendigo or the Wendigo or however you want to pronounce it. But that's what you would definitely call this. You wouldn't call it the cannibal. We already have the cannibal, which I don't understand still, especially since you know, the ghost face, the Demogorgon, whatever. It's not the point. Um, the Wendigo. I think it's a superb idea. I think that it fits the lore. I think there's plenty you could do with cosmetics. Um, I think something that would be a really cool touch. I don't know how well they could do this, but something that could be a great touch is if you no, now that I think about it, I think that would be better served for a Jeepers Creepers character if they ever added the Creeper. But I was gonna say if he could like consume somebody, like if he mori somebody and consumes them, he could sort of take on their traits, like David's rose tattoo or his forearm tattoo, because they maintain skin alteration stuff like that. But I think that would be better served for a Jeepers Creepers character, where he actually consumes body parts to replace them. Um, but all that being said, I think that the Wendigo, um, not so much in this form or this form, but more so in this form, and especially this and these two forms, I think are where we definitely see the potential for it. Um, could I be wrong? Absolutely. I could be completely off base, and Dead by Daylight could completely throw us a swerve. But this is my best guess. So, um, with all that being said, um, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that um, you think maybe I'm right, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm completely wrong. I could be. Um, but there's only one way to find out. So if you agree, let me know in the comments. If you don't agree, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think it might be. Give me your thoughts. Message me on Twitter. Tell me what you think it might be. Just tag me in your opinions. But that is going to do it for this one, guys. Hopefully we are right, and hopefully we don't have to wait too long to find out. But that is going to do it for this. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. As always, I am Pip. Y'all are the greatest. We'll see you next time. Later, everybody.